I think. Okay, great. Thank you, Daniela. So I'm hoping that everyone sees. Let me just get this down. Is everyone seeing our slideshow now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right. So, I'd love to start this by just talking about, I'd love to start this meeting by saying, hey, let's talk about all kinds of everything about reopening school that has nothing to do with COVID-19. But unfortunately, that's something I have to focus on first. So we are so excited to have 350 students back in the building. And we are doing everything we can to make this year as normal as we possibly can. And but we also need to keep everyone safe. And so that's what we're going to try to focus on tonight. And feel free when we're done with that focus to ask about other things. And I'll do my best with the other folks who are here, hopefully to give you good answers. Okay. So I had no idea how many people we would have on here, but I just want to do some ground rules for discussion. They're pretty simple. Give everyone time to ask questions, time and a chance to ask questions. And if you have any really personal questions or comments related to your own child specifically, we should probably set up a time to speak by phone. I could even maybe do it tonight or early or tomorrow morning, but I want to make sure I protect students' confidentiality. If there's a sensitive thing you want to ask about, general things are fine. And if lots of folks want to speak at the same time, please type in the chat or physically raise your hand and I will call on you, or, make some kind of noise and somebody will see that you want to talk, but we'll probably be okay with this number of people. I think it should go pretty well. Anybody have any questions or thoughts about that before we go on? Terrific. Okay. So just a little background, because I know there's a lot of parents here and family members who may not have been at Blackstone last year. So just give you a quick overview. We had 30 to 40 students in the building every day from September through about mid-March, and everyone was learning virtually, even the students that came in. And then by mid-March, everyone kept learning virtually, but we alternated 2 grade levels per week in the building. So there was, just to really keep things distant, very socially distant. And some students chose to continue learning at home. So everyone was still learning virtually. So this is the first time since like mid-March of 2020 that we will have everyone back in the building. So it's pretty exciting for us. I can't even tell you, it's gonna be great. I will say that we had lots of students and family members that had COVID-19 since it started. But fortunately we had no outbreaks at school. And I also want to let you know, we have federal funds, as does every public school. And that's really helped us to, be able to have the capacity to keep things really safe. So how do we find out, how do we make decisions about all this stuff related to COVID-19? So we're constantly getting updates from RIDE, which is the Rhode Island Department of Education, Department of Health, and the governor's office. And we would let you know if anything comes our way, that, official information that we need to follow as soon as we know it. I attend the Pawtucket Central Falls Beat COVID-19 Task Force meetings weekly, or I get the notes if I can't go. But these meetings are they're pretty exciting because there's representatives from the cities, there's representatives from business, there's representative medical community, public health experts, and representatives of many many cultural, faith-based, and nonprofit groups in both these cities. And so this really helps us keep in touch with what's going on in our neighborhoods locally. We also are getting plenty of information from Providence, but because most of our students, 80%, come from Pawtucket Central Falls, it's crucial we know what's happening, in locally. And also, we're always talking or in touch with our local public school districts and the public charter schools that serve this area, as well as the city government. So that's where we get lots of our things. So, and so something I just wanted to mention, like, I didn't really want to be worrying anymore this year. I was hoping we could go into this year not having to worry much. But I think, as most people will know, in the 3 cities that we serve, we've recently had an uptick in COVID-19 cases, and so has the state of Rhode Island and the country. And the vaccination rates in our 3 cities are a bit lower than in some other parts of the state. So more people can get sick if they are exposed to COVID-19.
Yeah, now we're wearing our masks. Wear our
think we-
masks in that place.
All right. I think we've got somebody who's needing to get their, just to mute, thank you. So the Delta variant spreads much faster for both unvaccinated and unvaccinated people. Both vaccinated and unvaccinated people can spread the Delta variant. But unvaccinated people and unvaccinated young people are getting much sicker with the Delta variant and are being hospitalized. So we found that although many of our students, even our high school age students, got sick with COVID-19, they did not get as sick as many adults did. But it has been the case that more young people are getting sicker and getting hospitalized with the Delta variant. So we want to do everything we can, obviously, to not see that happen, right? Because that just is, would not want to be something I would want to see. So that's part of why we're here. So I am going to just go through quickly some of the things we're doing at Blackstone for safety. So every classroom, and I'm going to show you some of this stuff too when I have the camera back on. So all classrooms and everywhere in the school has adequate ventilation and filtering. Because we have air, we already had air conditioning, but we now also have special machines that circulate the air, and they have HEPA filters. And the HEPA filters do a really good job of taking any impurities in the air and cleaning the air, so that when the air comes out of them, the air is cleaner, including COVID-19. So indoor masks are now a statewide mandate in schools, and wearing them will continue to be our policy for anyone who enters our building. No one loves to wear them, right? I don't love wearing my mask, and students didn't, but you know what? We all got used to it last year, and generally students were really cooperative about them. And I don't know, I know there's some people on this meeting that their student didn't go to school at all last year, so they didn't have to be in a building wearing a mask for very long. We know there's going to be some learning curve in this. There's also going to be students who went all summer and didn't wear a mask, and they're going to have to get used to it again. So just know that we're going to spend a lot of time helping students get used to this, and either get used to it again or get used to it for the first time. And we'll do everything we can to make it tolerable. And please let us know if you have a child who you think is going to have a really hard time with it, because we can really help, and we had a lot of experience with it last year. Classroom seating is primarily in the same direction, so it's facing the same part of the room as possible. so that people are breathing towards the air filters that we have in the room, even with their masks on. Any other air, it's getting, it's towards the air filters. And if we are doing any circles or cross-person work, we will make sure those are pretty open circles. And what we're trying to tell people for guidance about social distancing, they have changed the guidelines for schools around whether 6 feet or 3 feet or whatever. And what we're really looking at is to have reasonable amounts of social distance. So that means and most of the time, 3 feet is definitely possible for social distance. We need people to really use common sense with this. And we feel like most of our students, they're young adults. They really get this. Outdoors, sorry, I've just got to check and see.
I can tell that you don't like the way I dress because you have no understanding of fashion whatsoever.
Sorry, somebody has got their, Daniela, you could probably mute people if you need to. Thank you. Anyhow, so, and also I want to say that students can be unmasked outdoors as long as we've got adult supervising, which they should be anyway. But, we still want to be careful, but they will not have to wear masks outdoors. That will be, which is great. So, but they can wear masks outdoors. So some people will choose to. We're going to make sure there's no more than 4 at a time in our downstairs bathrooms, and 3 upstairs. And I put this time limits as necessary. You're going to be like, really? But one of the things you should know is kids like to hang out in the bathrooms. That's not going to be good or safe. So if they need to be in the bathroom for a longer amount of time, that's fine. But we really have to watch it. We can't have kids hanging out in bathrooms. That's an area that's really small, and it's where the air can get very, not moving, and, can't really happen. So students can also remove their masks to eat during breakfast and lunch when they're inside, and they have to be seated to eat. Okay, they can't be standing up and walking around with their food, because that's when it's just really not safe for everybody to be walking around with no masks on. We even had kids, like, they learned how to sip their drinks through a straw, and they could have their mask on, but it's like not as bad as like completely having it off. We're also getting some more outdoor seating for lunchtime and other times. So when the weather's good, they can be outside a lot, and hopefully we'll all be during lunch. It's a federal law that when you're on public transport, which includes school buses and vans, that you wear a mask and that you have a seating chart when we're in a school. We have to keep those for contact tracing purposes. Students who take the Central Falls bus to get to school, there will be assigned seats. I guess we had to give them seating charts. So they'll let you know when you go to take the bus where you have to sit. They'll put siblings next to each other and things like that. So like last year, there'll be plenty of masks and cleaning projects in every classroom and all the common areas and all the entrances. And we have a staff member who all she's doing is being in charge of continually supplying spaces and making sure that stuff is always there. We've had many vaccination clinics for students. They have been highly successful. In fact, I know that after our first couple of clinics, the pharmacy that did our clinics told us that we had more students than 3 of the large high schools in Providence combined had at their clinics. We know that hundreds of our students have been vaccinated. We don't know the exact number yet. We're having another vaccine clinic on Thursday, September 10th. I've provided the link. I'll also make sure it's on our Facebook page. If for some reason I'm hoping everyone knows that the Pfizer vaccine, which is the vaccine that we've given in our clinics and has been authorized for ages 12 and up, That is the vaccine that we've given at our clinics and will be giving at our clinics, but it's now final approved, FDA final approved for those 16 and up. So that means you don't have to worry about it being experimental. Some people were nervous because it came out pretty fast, but it's received its final approval. If you have any questions, hesitancy, or thoughts about, worry, right, about your child getting a vaccine, I really urge you to talk to your family physician. That's where I go. I go to medical doctors for advice on all of this. And we, as a school, we utilize the public health advisor to the city of Pawtucket and Central Falls, Dr. Michael Fine. And, he's a medical doctor. He's treated, he's been a family physician in this area for many, many years. And that's who we go when we're in doubt and have questions. But there's also many others. If you want to speak to anyone who's a doctor, because you don't have one right now, or you don't like who you're dealing with or whatever, I could put you in touch with a number of different people, for questions. But I will say that, it's our feeling from everything that we've learned in the literature that that this is really the best way for us to, for us to be able to get our information on the vaccine. I just saw that Giselle was asking about how many classes will be eating lunch at the same time. So, and I have to tell you guys that I haven't been looking at all the chat. So there's some things in here. Feel free to speak up. Will students have breaks? So I'm gonna go through some of this before I go any further. I've got some more to go on, but let me look at all these. So Maria wants to know, will students have breaks to remove their masks if they need to? If they need to have a break, they will. We will deal with that if individual students, but what we don't want to do, and we've been advised against, is having group breaks, because that means you've got all these kids in the building taking their mask off at the same time. We've got extra staff. Kids can just ask, they can ask to go out into the hallway and take a break from their mask if they're having any issue. And we'll make sure that that's really well known. And thanks for that question, Maria. Heather, I think the clinic Friday that you're talking about, that's tomorrow, is.
Yeah, my mistake, it's at the Y.
Right, it's at the Y.
Yeah,
Is it still,
sorry
is
about
it
that.
tomorrow? And I
It
can,
is 4
I
to
can
6
share that
p.m.,
too.
Ages
Yeah.
12 and
So-
up.
Right, so there's a special clinic at the Pawtucket Y tomorrow. And you know what? I can send the link, but you could just show up and they'll give you a shot.
It's on our
Um,
Facebook page.
Yes, it's also on our Facebook page, that one. Thanks for reminding me of that. And then Giselle, how many classes will be eating lunch at a time? That is a great question. So about half the school, which is about 165 kids, will eat lunch at the same time. However, we are going to do our best to keep students in, assigned to particular spaces and really outdoors. We're going to have a lot of extra supervision at lunch in order to keep it safe. Unfortunately, as a high school with scheduling, there's no other way that we can schedule lunch. It just is pretty impossible. So we're going to try to be creative, like having some different spaces, having some open classrooms open, having, and really a lot of it's about the supervision. So, and honestly, if kids only have the mask off while they're actually eating, not while they're like talking, but they're eating, then I think, we'll be a little better than not. So, and also how do we know who our advisory teacher is? Because I didn't get any information about that. So if you are a new student, you're not going to know that maybe until you come on Tuesday, if you're a new student. So, but if you can just, I'll put your name down or you can put your name in the chat, and I will make sure your advisor, because I probably don't know the correct answer to this, maybe you are supposed to know. So just let me know if you think other people have found that out, and I'll get you that information, okay? Because I could probably look it up and find that all out.
Carolyn,
Yeah,
I can help with that. So I take her name and I give her a call.
thanks. Yeah, because we have it in Power School. So I
Yes.
just, and if I am able to, while we're in this meeting, I can do that. Okay. Let me just, and I just saw something else. Okay, both the Lopes. Okay, great. Marissa and Madison want their Lopes, want that information. So, okay, let me do the next thing. Let's see where I'm. Okay, so I talked about that. Sorry. Okay, what else? So we will continue to test everyone, staff and students, once per week using our BINEX instant tests, which are the tests that you can find out your results in 15 minutes. And we are also about to get trained in PCR testing as well. So we may have to transition over to those tests. The good news with those tests is, although you don't get your results instantly, they are actually more accurate. And I don't have enough information because we haven't had the training yet. I have lots of BINEX instant tests, so we're using those for the foreseeable future. I am going to, when we're done with just showing you the slides, I'm going to actually show you how we do our BINEX instant tests. I have a kit here. I'm going to take a test right in front of you so that you'll know what it looks like. It's so easy. Our kids do it themselves. And they do it under adult supervision. What we're planning on doing is probably every Wednesday in first period. That's when everyone, staff, students, will take a test. And, you know, we did it daily last year. So we have some expertise in this, and a lot of our students do too. And they had no problem with it. Kids were great about it. They enjoyed, they were actually really part of this. It was kind of exciting that they could be part of doing real science and medicine as teenagers. We are going to ask, Felicia, I just need you again to mute somebody. I think somebody's got their mic on and they don't mean to. Okay, so we'll ask that you keep your student home if they have any cold-like symptoms or a lingering headache, you know, a fever of any type. Even if you think it's allergies, I hate to say it, but you really got to be careful with a lot of that. I think most of you know how to monitor yourself for any symptoms. We're going to be talking more with students about that when they come. And we will let you know as soon as we know if your child was exposed to someone with COVID-19. Now, just because they are in the same classroom with someone who tests positive for COVID-19 does not make them a close contact. And we are likely never going to have to quarantine a whole classroom, but we will let you know if your student was affected. You can make decisions on your own, but we'll get more into the details of that with you if this happens. We fortunately had no spread that started at Blackstone here that we know of. We had nothing happen. We had very few positive tests come up in our testing. And when we did, we were able to take action and handle it on our own. We worked with the Department of Health, but we actually handled all the contact tracing with quite a bit of detail. And Daniela could tell you more about that because she was the one behind the scenes tracking all of this. But we want to be very transparent and know a lot about what what you want to know, what you don't want to know, but we want to let you know, we won't have anything to hide about this. And we feel like, you know, we had tons of experience about this. So, and so somebody asked if it was effective or necessary to do. So here's what I think. I think that it is part of a whole big layering of things that are effective to keep us all safe. So testing by itself, nah, that's not, that in and of itself isn't going to do much. But if you're combining that with all these other things we're doing, you are so much less likely to have community spread and to have a lot of people get sick. And given that we are going to have now a lot more people in much closer spaces, we really, and I will tell you that students and parents that sent their students last year, they so appreciated it because they felt like, you know, they knew their child was getting tested every day. So they, you know, they weren't really having to sit and worry a lot about it. The Binax instant tests are not perfect in terms of the percentage that are, you know, sometimes we didn't have any false positives because anybody who did come up positive went and got a PCR test and came up positive. That's in our school, but it does happen. So we would always want to get a PCR test as well. And then, you know what, we're going to test later. So there's a whole lot of detailed protocols around testing that we've been trained in. And we feel like it's given us a lot of confidence to feel like we've got a better shot of keeping people safe. It won't be perfect. It's just one part of the formula. Really, I will tell you, we did it probably more than any school in, I think, I don't know of another high school in the state that did it daily. But everyone, it was so easy and the students were part of it. And because we're high school, the students were able to really do a good part of their own test. And when I show you how it's done in a minute, you're going to see why it's so easy. Okay, sorry, got one more. It's not clicking for me. Thought I had one more. I know I do. Okay, that was that. Oh, yay, I can get back to the regular screen now. Give me 1 second. Beautiful. Okay, here I am. And I am going to look at the chat to start. And then I'm going to show you some things. And yes, Maria said that will help everyone, not just your child. Is it mandatory? Yes. And there's a reason and I'm going to talk about that more in a second. Yeah, there's a RIPTA bus that doesn't pass right in front of the school, but it is literally right up the hill. So it is 2 blocks, not like small blocks. I mean, 2 very small blocks. And we can give you that information if you call us tomorrow. That's okay that you sent that. That's good. If they have to stay home or quarantine, do they distance learn? I'm going to talk about that. What is the bus number? You're going to ask me all these things that I should know that I hope I'm going to tell you. Maria, could you please call the school and get that detailed information tomorrow? Because I could tell you, take the 99 from the east, you know, from downtown, but I'll tell you the wrong information. So if you call here, we'll give you the right information on the bus. Or I will get it to you some other way. And hold on a second. And David, hi, how are you? That's my husband. I forgot to tell him where I am, that I'm in a meeting till this late. Anyhow, okay, somebody's putting all the bus information in the chat because they are extremely helpful. And let's see, the earliest that a student can be dropped off is an hour before we start. So 7:15 is when the building will be open. Sometimes there's someone here earlier than that. we'll have, and if they get here any earlier than that, they can wait outside pretty safely. And there's usually 1 or 2 kids that might have, but usually there's some teachers here. But that's, that's the case. And okay, somebody's going to get their transcript. Great. What time does school start and end? Yep. So, yep, 8:15 and then ends at 2:45. That I can tell you clearly. And if you're somebody who recently got in through the lottery and you haven't gotten all of your stuff, we will get you all this information. And again, if you call the office tomorrow, or if you, I'm gonna make sure that you folks have everything you need to know. And I think Felicia will too, because she's taking note of that stuff. I am just gonna go back to the testing thing, because I'm all excited to show you. Hopefully this doesn't bother anyone, but I want to show you how you do a BINEX instant test and why I think it's pretty cool and easy. So here we go. So first of all, that's the box that they come in. They are the same tests that they use at hospitals and healthcare centers and anywhere else that you go, the state sites. And we get them, actually, we've gotten them for free from the state through federal money. So that's good. So the first thing that I do with this is there's a little packet like this. And I open it up and a card comes out that looks like this. And we open, and on the front of the card, which you're not gonna be able to see this well, it's got a little line and it kind of shows me, okay, that's the control line. Now, I won't say pregnancy test, but I will say, there's adults here, but if anyone's ever had taken or seen a pregnancy test result, if you get 2 lines, that means you're pregnant. Well, in this case, if you get 2 lines in the test at the end, it means that you may be positive for COVID-19. If you stay with that one blue line that we see, it means you are likely negative for COVID-19. So everyone gets an individual card, and inside the card, it looks like this. And it's put flat on the desk for the student, okay? And then what the student does is what I'm about to do. They take this thing that's like a Q-tip, and you open up the end, that's not the Q-tip end, that's not the swab, and you pull it out, okay? Now, I wanna tell everyone, I was one of those people who went and got a COVID-19 test in the early days, okay? And if any of you were, it was not the most pleasant experience in the world. It sort of felt like they put something like this and it felt like it was practically going to hit your brain. And afterwards you were like, a little shocked, right? None of that here at Blackstone, okay? Luckily, they figured out that they really didn't have to do that for any of these tests. So, and with this test, all you do is you stick it up just right inside your nostril. And it's like right now, the swab is in just as far as the end of the swab, okay? And then I twirl it around 3 times, and then I go in my other nostril and I twirl it around. I actually twirl it around, 3 times, okay, to the outer edge. And then I hold it like that because I'm doing my own. So I don't have so then I have this little dropper, and the little dropper is an antigen. It's like, that's the chemical that really picks up on the COVID. And I stick it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drops into this card. So the student now has just done that whole swabbing. The adult has opened the card and, put those in. The student then sticks it into the card. It's easy to see, and then twirls it 3 times. And then they take this piece of tape off the card, which you just have to, okay. And then they close the card like a book and they seal it. And then they usually write their name and the time that they took the test on the card. So here it is. I can't show you what it looks like on top because I'll dump the antigen out. But How hard was that? It so wasn't hard. And so then we wait 15 minutes. What we typically do is we collect these carefully. We put them on a tray. They go to a private space and an adult then reads them. And then if for some reason, and it doesn't happen much, if for some reason, somebody comes up with a positive reading on their test, somebody from the student support team figures out a very discreet way to get the student out of the room that they're in, like in some way that they would never notice. And we take them to a special place, would probably do another test, and then we would immediately call you if it was still positive. We would take it from there. So that's how the testing goes. And, you know, honestly, it was so easy that I would still do daily testing, but we sort of felt like for 350 every day, it was going to be a bit of a strain. One of the things that we know is that it typically takes 4 to 5 days from the time you're exposed to COVID-19 for it to show up in your system and show positive on a test. So Wednesday is actually a good day, I figured, because kids might be, you know, it could show up in 2 days or it could show up in 5 days, but it's somewhere in that range. And so if kids were out and about a lot in the weekend or whatever with friends, you know, it may show up. One of the things that you should know and should hopefully keep you calm is that, again, if somebody was sitting somewhat close to your child, they wouldn't instantly show a positive test. It would take a few days. So before that happens. So you don't have to be in a panic if we find out later. More typically, we find out because the Department of Health notifies us or a parent calls us and says, my student, you know, tested positive for COVID-19. And at that point, we have to go through a process of contact tracing and trying to figure out what the next course of action would be. Daniela, would you like to talk a little bit about what you did or how you see the contact tracing happening? If you're still.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
So contact tracing basically takes a couple of steps. So first, obviously we will kind of take in mind where the student was in the building that day, what classes they were in. All our teachers, we request for teachers to have seating plans. The seating plans allow us to be able to see where the student was seated. For us to actually, the Rhode Island Department of Health, for a student to have been exposed to someone who tested positive, they had to have been in contact with that person for 15 minutes or longer. And so basically what I'll do is that I'll go down our list, check out the classroom layouts, and then kind of do a little bit of interviewing process to see if the student ever did take off their mask, if students were eating in their class, just all of that stuff from like the teacher and any other staff members that were around. And then that way we can be able to kind of keep in mind and then be able to make that decision of who those close contacts were. And of course, then we would obviously notify parents, families, kind of let them know that there was a close contact if your student was a close contact to somebody who tested positive.
Yeah. So, and you know, I had to review today with Gilbert, our wellness coordinator, the quarantine periods, because they've changed. They're lower for vaccinated people, and you know, but I'm not sure I always get it straight. But we have a team of people who does, and that's important. We'll follow the same protocol for everyone. Everything will be, you know, done the same way. Somebody asked, I think, while wearing a mask, and I think they were asking about doing the testing, yeah, the kids just lift the mask from their face for a minute and do the test that way. So, they don't, it's pretty easy. I can grab a mask, and show that if you want me to. What else did people ask that I didn't answer about that?
Someone asked if we were still doing virtual learning.
Oh, yeah. So we're really trying to not still do virtual learning. We are actually, we have been ordered by the state of Rhode Island to have everybody in person. So we are not able to offer a virtual option. What we will do if students have to quarantine is we will make sure, just like if you were out sick for something else, you would get your work. There might be times when the teacher would have you come to class because they still have the devices in their room, like the television sets up. So, they can have students come live into their room, but it's not the preferred way that we want people to learn this year. And it is it's just not as good. We don't have the teaching staff to do double teaching. In high school particularly, you need to have someone for every subject, right? And so we would have to, hire a whole other team to offer a virtual as opposed to a hybrid, right? And that would be the teacher in the room and teaching the kids at home. It was really hard to do that. We don't feel like it was the best that we can do educationally. But there will be teachers who, if someone is out, they may want to use some of their ability that they have now to be able to live stream someone into their classroom. But not everyone will do it that way. Some of them may choose to do it a little bit differently. So that's something we'll talk some more about. And I also think we need to see how we're doing for a few weeks and months. And what we're really hoping is that students can just come in and teachers can just come in. And I think that's pretty similar across the state. In any public school, that's what you're going to see happening. So we've been saying for an awful long time that there is not a distance learning option this year. That's something we have sent out. And if you want to talk more about that, because you were thinking there was going to be, please give us a call tomorrow or email me or Kylene, and we will, talk to you more about that. That possibility. What else have I missed? I feel like there's another thing. Maybe there's a new message.
Yeah, a parent wanted to know if on Tuesday you will be doing testing for the students.
We are hoping to. We're hoping to. I think we sent permission forms home to all the new students. So if we've got a form, and that's really it's just an information form as opposed to, it is part of our policy that everyone tests that comes into the building. So again, let us know if you have any problems with that or you're hesitant about that. I really want to talk to you personally about that. But we're hoping that we're able to do that because it's helpful. I will say that our school has felt like, hey, and I think most of our families and kids have felt like it's a nice community service, right? They don't have to go somewhere else for a test. If you need to get a test, you can come here and we'll give you one. So, and a lot of people have needed them for lots of different situations. So, let's see. And yeah, it is. Testing is going to be, taking a test once a week is a mandatory part of our process. That is true. That is true. And let's see. On Wednesday, is that our early release? Okay, I'm not going to get into the after school clubs, but I will say we're working on after school activities. What options? So, and there'll be homework support. There'll be lots of different things, but maybe we'll, right before after school program starts, we will give you a lot more information on that. No, every single person, vaccinated or unvaccinated. It's fair because I want to know, I mean, I will tell you guys right now, I just came back from Georgia. I've been testing myself every day. I want to make sure that even though I was masked when I was anywhere inside and I didn't get close to anyone, I want to make sure that I'm not carrying anything. So I'm vaccinated fully, have been, and did I mention that our staff and faculty are 100% vaccinated? And most of our students, particularly our older students, almost all of our seniors last year got vaccinated. What that helps, I mean, obviously, we know it's scientific fact that the percentage of the people now who are getting very sick and in the hospital, it's getting to be about 90% are unvaccinated people. So, I might get COVID-19, I could spread it, and God forbid I ever did, but the great news is it's highly unlikely I'm going to get really sick from it. So, and Felicia, if you want to call me if you're confused, I'd love you to do that, or just speak in the mic and I can, you don't have to just do the chat, and you can tell me a little more about what you're confused about.
Yeah, I will call you personally.
I would love it. That would be great. That would be great. I'm also going to put in the chat. I'm going to try to put in the chat to everyone. I'm going to put a phone number because I'm running around the building a lot and I'm never at my extension. So I'm giving you my cell so that you can call me on that. And you could even call after the meeting tonight if you need to, or if you'd like to. It's up to you, because I'm just going to be heading on my way home. But I would love to, I know that I could be missing some things because I've talked about this subject quite a bit in the last year and a quarter, and I may not be being clear about what I'm sharing with you. So especially if you're a new family here at Blackstone. So I don't want to make any assumptions. So can people, is there other things that people want to hear about, including COVID related or not?
Hi, I was just wondering when students will get their class schedules. Is that the first day of school?
First day of school, yeah.
Okay, so
And I know that, yeah, if students who are returning students, if they go to Power School, they'll probably be able to see their schedule now.
No, she's a ninth grader coming
Yeah,
in. So
ninth graders will get it. That's what we do. That's why we have you come in on the Tuesday, so that we do so much great orientation on Tuesday, that half day for new students. So they meet everyone on the faculty and staff. They're with their advisor a lot of the time. They go through their schedule. They learn about so many things. And then even on Wednesday, we'll also be doing so much in terms of giving information as a new students. Oh no, vaccines are not mandated at all. Vaccines are not mandated at this time at schools anywhere. So yeah, and one of the reasons that and I don't know if that will change. That could change as a state rule. I don't have any say in that, but they are not mandated. Absolutely not. And I also should mention that in terms of vaccines, there are exemptions for people with medical conditions that they can apply for. And also with, there's also vaccines. There's also exemptions that people can ask for if you've got a student who has a medical condition or disability that would prevent them from participating in any of this. There are religious exemptions for vaccinations and other medical procedures. So that is something, again, if you want to talk more about, please get in touch. We want to know and be able to figure out a plan for anybody who fits into that category, so that you're comfortable with what we're doing here.
I have a question.
Marissa, hi.
Hi, how are you? What is
Good.
what is a flex day? Just an early release, or is that the day when they do a?
That's a great question. Listen, we just, for some reason, we decided to change our schedule a little bit because we hadn't had enough change in our lives, but it was all for good reason. Let me tell, so, and a flex day is, and I'm not even sure I'll explain well why we call it that, but the idea of it is that students will come in on those days, and part of the day they're going to spend with their advisory to start, but they're going to work on a lot of their advisory related portfolio tasks, their external learning tasks, like getting ready to do a job shadow or doing their career inventories. They're going to do some personal development work where they sort of look at, they may work on their resume. They may work on coming together to do different things. And and that will be part of the day. We'll have guest speakers come in during that time for all kinds of topics, especially around careers and colleges and other types of higher education. There'll also be a part of that flex day morning that where students will receive extra help in the subjects that they may need extra help in, and or if there's a student who's doing really well in everything, they will be doing some kind of honors work or enhancement work. So it's kind of giving us flexible time in the schedule to do a lot of things that we feel like students are going to need. We know every student needs some catch-up work, all of our even really good students, and not just during after school time. We did our best to get everything. We did our best to, to get a lot happening, but during when we were on virtual learning, but we don't feel like students got everything they would have had they been in person. So we want to make sure that we have time to get students caught up, get students and there's some students, we've got juniors who are coming into the school that, were only here with us in the building for the first 8-7 months, right, of school, and then they've been virtual. So that's, you miss some of what it's like to be a student here. So we want to give everyone opportunities, just some more time, and make sure some of that's during the school day and not just after school. That's going to be pretty important. And school starts at 8:15. The doors open at 7:15. And they will actually, so the first day, students may come through either the top door upstairs or the lower door. We're going to be doing, some students will be in the multi-purpose room for morning meetings. Some will be in their classrooms. We'll make sure we direct students to the right place. So we'll have both entrances ready to go, and I'll have that, but that's a great question too. And yeah, breakfast and lunch is provided. Oh, temperature checks, John, great question. We don't do temperature checks, and I'll tell you why. Unless somebody is symptomatic or says, I feel like I have a fever, or maybe looks like it. That actually was proven pretty early on to be not the most effective way to test if someone's got symptoms. Certainly if someone comes to school, and what happens is to do a temperature check adequately on 350 kids coming into the building, many at the same time, all you're doing is getting them in closed quarters. And if they're coming right from outside and it's warm out, their temperature may read inaccurately. We have been advised by the Department of Health to not do temperature checks. That is not enough. That's not one of the, it's different, I suppose, when you go into a retail store, you go into, a healthcare setting or a place like that where it's small numbers of people coming in at a time. But typically for us, it's a lot of people walking in at the same time. And again, it doesn't seem to be also nationally, according to the CDC, that's not the way that they're catching a lot of people that might be positive. So we will be reviewing with students a lot around how they do their own self-checks before they walk in the building, before they even come to school every day. And we did a lot of that work last year. We also, what was extremely effective was that we had a lot of peer educators who were trained to be able to talk to other students about COVID-19 and about strategies that they could do to keep themselves and others safe. So we'll continue to do that. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, and thank you. David is on, who is an alumni parent, and he has a freshman coming in too. And so, he knows all of this routine. And David, thank you for all your support last year. I think that, one of the things that David knows is how important and how much we do, how much information we give students the first day and the first few days and the first week of school, to not only let them know all the routines, but to make them feel welcome. I also want to say, I always tell parents it might be the first time you have a child going to high school. I think it's really important to ask us, it's different than middle school, right? And it's going to look different than it did. And there might be things you have questions about. You might be like, why are they letting them do this? They didn't let them do that in 8th grade. So please ask us about those things. If anything makes you uncomfortable or makes you, wonder about it, please give us a call. Kylie and I are always available to talk to a parent. Most often within the day you call us, very rarely that we wouldn't be. So classes, it all depends on our schedule. These are great questions. So most of the classes are about 70 minutes long. We have some that are longer than that, but they are more the once a week classes that happen like on a Tuesday or Thursday afternoon. Most of the other classes are about 70 minutes long. Transition from class to class is a little over 5 minutes. We've got a small building. So, and we also try to schedule the room so that you're not going in between floors too much. But it's not a situation where, and we'll be monitoring the hallways for crowding and lining up and all that stuff. That was really the thing that was our biggest challenge with reopening last year, was because we don't have big hall. We don't have huge hallways, and we're not a huge school. So we have to be really conscious about that. But something that you probably don't know if you're a new parent or a student is that we don't have bells at Blackstone. So, and we did that purposely. There's some teachers who would like them, but we kind of feel like we'd like people to learn how to live in a world where they actually have to be accountable to a clock and not a bell, right? And not act like Johnny likes that. I love it. And so, and frankly, it feels like to me when I go into school and I hear a bell, it's like I'm in a factory someplace, it's not something that we ever wanted to have in our school. So we try to give kids, the bottom line is this year particularly, we're gonna have a lot of adults in the hallway. So the thing that students sometimes don't like about Blackstone is it's hard to hide at Blackstone. It's pretty small. It's nowhere to, so people have to kind of go to class, go along to class. That's all. Oh, supplies. So for orientation, you don't really need to bring anything. They will give you what you need for orientation. I know that the office sends home a supply list for 9th graders, and it's got like, and if you didn't get it, they'll give it to you when you come on Tuesday. It's real basic. It's things like, hey, a small notebook for your main classes and your folders, some folders, but you're not going to be, we tend to go gently into the classes. So we want you to hear from your classroom teachers if there's any supplies that they want you to get, and they'll give you some time to get them. Because it could be, but generally speaking, like some small notebooks are fine and some folders to start. We'll also, if you don't know this, you'll get issued a school Chromebook to use. So that will happen right away. I don't know if anybody else can think of anything I'm not saying about supplies that they want to chime in on or talk about, but that's good.
I have a question.
Yes,
So
sure.
as far as what if students want to bring their own personal laptop? Would that be
Oh, yeah,
recommended, or has that been an issue in the past, or?
They certainly can bring their own personal laptop, and that's fine. Because they can get, and as long as it's a good working laptop, that's fine. And that they have a charger, or make sure it's fully charged. They certainly can bring their own laptop. What we will do is make sure that they can print, like you do some things to set it up for them, but they can bring their own laptop. Thanks for asking. And they also get an agenda calendar. Thank you, Heather. They get because some kids really like the paper agenda calendar, and so they will get a nice one. A lot of us visual learners like that kind of thing. So you'll have one of those, a Blackstone Academy one. What else can I answer for you, or do you want to share? Just looking through. Or if anybody sees anything that I didn't answer. Do you have to carry books from class to class every day? Not a lot of books. We're not a big textbook school. Okay, we've never been. So I can't think of any classes like when I was in high school. I had like a big textbook for those days are gone. When you're reading a book, typically for English classes, it might be a novel, a lightweight paperback. We use a lot of different materials for the math classes. Sometimes there might be a small something, but I'm like thinking right now out loud. We just don't have any big textbooks. So yeah, you'll be able to get a locker if you want to keep your stuff in a locker, but you will not have to lug heavy things around, okay? But you do go from class to class, that's something you do. And most kids use their locker for like their coat when it gets colder, and maybe they have some other things in there, but that's a nice thing. But yeah.
Just to add to that, some of the teachers have shelves in their classes and the books are there. So you don't have to take it with you.
Oh, yeah.
From one class to the next. So it makes it easier to come back to class and your book is already there to pick up and get going.
Right. If it's not part of your homework. The other thing is they might have a digital book or a digital article that you're going to read. Somebody wanted to say about transportation. So here's how it goes. If you are from Central Falls, there is a school bus and you will get that. If you are from Providence or Pawtucket, you will likely not, you won't have a school bus. We can provide a bus pass if you live more than 2 miles from the school, or there's some other reason you might need one. And most students get rides, they carpool, and if you have any issues around that, please, let me know. If you've got, or call the office tomorrow, let them know. If there's any transportation related things that we can help you work out. And if you're from Central Falls and you haven't heard about bus pickup times or anything, also contact the office. You can call them, email them tomorrow. They'll be here Monday too. And we'll make sure that you have that info. Okay. So let's see. Oh, how many classes? I don't know. It depends on your schedule. I'm going to tell you about, you're going to learn that when you come, but the schedule just changed. And I haven't got it all. I haven't got a copy of it with me, frankly. And so I might tell you, but typically in a full day, I mean, you might have 5 classes, an advisory, something like that. Some days it's only 4 because, and flex days are different, but I really would rather that my expert teachers and your advisors tell you all this stuff on Tuesday. Because, and I could also, we'll make sure the new schedule is published once it's finalized. We switched it around a little bit, so no problem at all. Okay. All right. If everyone feels like they've had their questions answered, or they, mostly, even though I know some of you might have a zillion questions, which is fine. Please, please get in touch with us. You could call 726-1750. I will put that in the chat. That is the school's number. If you call between 8 and 4 tomorrow, you should reach someone. If you can't, again, I put my cell phone. I mean, you guys could reach us. You could email. If you go on our website, you should be able to get all of our emails. And I'm going to put my cell. I'm going to put the school's phone number in the chat. I'm going to put Kylene's email in the chat. Because you can always also leave a message on the school machine and someone will get back to you. I'll put my email and I also should let you know for new families that Kylene is actually the academic head. So she is more like the principal. I do more of the administrative aspects of the school. So that's why sometimes you might ask me about something with classes or teachers, and I'm not going to be as up to speed as Kylene is, because she's going to be doing more in that realm. And she'd love to hear from you, but she's on the Spanish meeting right now. So yeah, that's the ticket.
Can I ask one more question, please?
Of course. And before you do, I want to say that yes, Power School, you will have Power School happening again, and you can get in and you can monitor schedules and grades. So 2 things I want to say is that yeah, Power School's up and running. So if already has a student here, that is our student information system to new families that allows you to see the grades your students are getting in kind of real time. And it also lets you see their schedule and all of that. You'll be getting information. soon about how to access Power School for new folks. No, Kendra, we're going to be on all floors. We're not separated by grades this year. You know, you'll be able to get into Power School. We have a new feature that's going to be coming in within a few months, where we have a system that's called Zello, where the students are able to put all of their information related to career and higher ed planning and a lot of their portfolio things, and parents are going to be able to get into that because it's part of the individual learning plan for every student. So you'll be able to see that too. And we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be pretty cool, but they don't quite have it. Yeah. Somebody's pointing out that Power School at some public schools, Skyward is used. That's what they use. Some use Power School, some use Skyward, but locally, you're right. There's a lot of Skyward folks. So anything system you might have seen, we've just stuck with Power School because we've had it since practically we started. So, but it's pretty easy to learn, use, and you'll be able to keep up quite a bit with everything. All right. And yeah, David, thank you. So I want to let you guys go because I know we've been on for almost an hour and a half. I know you probably want to get to have a bit of an evening. I look really forward to meeting you, hopefully in person in the future, and also being able to have you and also have you on other meetings like this as well, because I know the virtual thing has been very convenient for people. So we will do it whenever we can, right? Yeah, I feel so too. So great to see everyone, and I will let you go start your evening. Thanks, Maria. Take care.